There were 3 Hell in a Cell matches last night. Which match was the better out of the 3? We're going to answer that question as WGS-TV reviews Hell in a Cell for 2016. Hey YouTube, are you ready for your hot tag? Because if you are, it's definite time to work.
What's up, man? Jackson. You're watching WGS-TV. Oh, yeah!
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of WGS-TV right here on YouTube.com/WrestleGamer. I'm your friendly neighborhood WrestleGamer making his return to WGS-TV after being gone for quite some time. Ladies and gentlemen, he is back. He is the studly one himself, Ashley. Ashley, how you doing?
Visit because it's Halloween, Mother Hubbards.
It was revealed that the Women's Championship match inside Hell in a Cell would be main eventing the whole show due to the historical significance of the match itself. That definitely put pressure on Sasha and Charlotte to go out there and put on one hell of a performance. Now, would Charlotte and Sasha deliver in their main event? Before we answer that question, let's talk about Hell in a Cell. Kickoff match featured the Cruiserweights as it was Cara, Lince, Dorado, and Cedric Alexander taking on the team of the premier athlete Tony Nese, Drew Gulak, and Ariya Davari. I have to say, Ashley, for a kickoff match, this was a pretty solid, good match.
Yeah, it was what you'd expect, but my only problem is this is once again Triple H's baby is getting ruined by a bunch of 25 writers. Because think about what happened last week with a certain individual beating a certain definitive article, Kendrick. And what reward does he get? You get to sit on the panel.
Yep. I don't know what to make of that, to be honest. You know, he gets a win over the #1 contender. So, since he beat Kendrick last week, does that qualify him for a championship match this week? You never know. The finish of the match was Cedric Alexander. The finish of the match was Cedric Alexander hitting the lumbar check on Drew Gulak to pick up the win for his team. Now on to the main card as we kicked off the actual Hell in a Cell show with the first Hell in a Cell match with the United States Championship on the line as Roman Reigns defended the title against the Fat Wolverine known as Rusev. First off, Lana, thank you, Lana. Enough said. Now, Ashley, going into this match, I wasn't expecting much out of Reigns and Rusev because, honestly, I didn't think their feud was strong enough to sustain a good match inside Hell in a Cell.
That's only because you've had the problems with the matches beforehand. You know, the SummerSlam anticlimax that wasn't even a match. And then the... was it like the week after or whatever when they had they literally opened with the start of the match and it went on for about 30 minutes when it ended in a double DQ. That's why you like have no faith. They delivered pretty well. You had the nice spots like the accolade with the chain and all that. I find it brilliant the way that WWE presented this, though. That Rusev is the heel, despite acting like a face. And Roman acting like the big sort of bully, but people are supposed to cheer him. Yeah, you can see how much Boston was sick of Roman, because they were doing Rusev sucks. Rusev is on the same level as Cena.
Oh my god.
People either like him or hate him. Roman, who gives a crap? It's like, who's the other guy in the ring? Let's go, Rusev. Rusev sucks. Who's that other guy? Who gives a shit?
Now, was this a bad match? No. But was it a superb match inside Hell in a Cell for the United States Championship? Far from it. There was some
spoilers. None of the Hell in a Cell matches are going to be any good because you're always going to compare them to the classic era ones. Hell, if you look at the list of the WWE put up the 10 best Hell in a Cell matches ever. And it was very interesting to note that the only one from basically the new era sort of thing, a la sort of, let's say, the only one that was in there was the Orton versus Bryan one from 2013. That tells you how average cell matches are now compared to when they actually meant something.
I can understand where you're coming from with that. The finish of this match was Reigns spearing Rusev off the steps to pick up the win and retain the United States Championship. Up next, it was Bayley and taking on Dana Brooke. Really not much to say here. I think actually Bayley might need to work on selling her shoulder issues just a little bit better, but I call that just a very minor detail.
Well, one, Vince's attitude is nobody must sell because you can't look injured. That's amazing, but it's true. And two, Dana Brooke, get the hell off our screens. You are not ready. Why the hell, not only once, but twice, you do a bloody handstand leg lock round her head? What is that even going to do other than make you just look like somebody that doesn't have talent? Which, spoilers, you don't.
And I thought I was the only one who thought that.
She needs a lot more time. Screen, you know. She had a chance with Charlotte. They just ditched that. And they had enough of her. You know, the most I feel sorry for is Bayley. She's better than this. And for the past month, she's had to deal with Dana Brooke when we know she's on the level of Sasha and Charlotte and Becky and all the other women that have come up. Her who must not be mentioned because she's getting married to Davari.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, the finish of this one was Bayley hitting the Bayley to belly on Dana to pick up the win. Up next, we had Enzo Amore and Big Cass taking on Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson of the club. Can anyone explain what the blue frick Enzo said on his promo last night?
It was brilliant because it was so corny. That's the best bit. It's that was the weirdest Toy Story reference ever, but in turn, it was the greatest. That was and that's the thing, because they're so good on the promos, they can afford to take a loss like they did, and even though they looked like pussies for the last 3 weeks, it establishes the fact that Anderson and Gallows are saying the tag team division's too soft, we're the true contenders. Because obviously, you know, New Day has to become Demolition. We'll get to that in a minute.
The finish of this match was the club hitting the Magic Killer on Enzo to pick up the win. Up next, it was time for the second Hell in the Cell match, this one being for the Universal Championship as Kevin Owens defended the title against Seth Rollins. The question has to be asked about this Hell in the Cell match, Ashley, is, was it better than the first one? My vote is yes.
Well, yeah. You've got two guys that know how to do hardcore stuff. You know, Ring of Honor wasn't all chin locks and headlocks. You know, Tyler Black and Kevin Heck of a show, along with some bloke called Lionheart. And that's the bit that I like as well, and we saw glimpses of it as well in the women's title match at the end. There were so many elements within those two that were akin to what we saw with the very first one 19 years ago.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. There are a few spots that I actually want to bring up and mention here on the review, like the the 2 suicide dives by Rollins into the cell. We can't forget Owens actually tossing Rollins into the cell from the ring apron, and the cannonball spots into the cell by Owens, and so on. Now, at one point, it looked like Owens screwed up using the fire extinguisher on the because he blew it in the referee, but I would soon come to realize that they did that to get the cell door open, which allowed Chris Jericho to run in and lock himself in the cell, effectively turning the match into a handicap match. Now, Ashley, one spot definitely worth mentioning.
All the build-up they've done to the... All the build-up they've done to the... Oh, is he on his side? Isn't he on his side? No, he was on his side. Why did the cheese in the first place?
Yep, and to which I have to respond is, there's still just no set time frame as to when they're going to pull the plug, as to whether Jericho's going to turn on Owens or Owens is going to turn on Jericho. There's a lot of speculation out there that Survivor Series will be the time that they do it.
I have to say Jericho's going to be the face. Mainly because people will cheer Kevin anyway because he's Kevin. So, but he can do a lot of heel stuff, but still get cheered by the marks, like me.
Well, anyway, one spot I definitely want to mention here on the review is that powerbomb through the double tables to the outside. I thought that was a very nice spot, to say the least. The finish of this match was Owens powerbombing Rollins through 2 chairs to pick up the win and retain the Universal Championship. Then after the match, Jericho would hit the code breaker on Rollins for some reason. I just don't know if they're going to start an angle between these two, but I could also be reading something out of nothing, Ash.
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Something like, the fact as well that Seth managed to keep Kevin up long enough when supposedly, he's got a broken back and whatever because of what happened on last week's Raw. Once again, proving the point that Vince doesn't like selling. It actually, it was probably that's probably one of the best Hell in a Cell matches you can get in this era. Because if it was like 5 years ago, you would have had some blading here and there. But I don't think Seth or Kevin would try and, gig up a storm. They'd do it sensibly.
Up next, we had the Cruiserweight Championship on the line as T.J. Perkins defended the championship against the Brian Kendrick. Again, another solid match for the card, but it definitely wasn't a standout match. I'll give it to Brian Kendrick, Ashley, for his sell job of the knee and ankle after the failed sliced bread attempt, but I still saw it coming a mile away. It's a typical heel feigning an injury routine that's been done for years in the wrestling industry.
And this is why the Cruiserweight division is on life support. This one angle. 2 weeks ago, Kendrick beat him clean. No interference or anything. And then last week, he comes up saying, TJ, I need you to let me beat you. So, we're basically
tears in his eyes.
Proving that wrestling, we're basically proving in inverted commas to all those people that, want to dispel this, that wrestling is fake and predetermined. Which is, you'd have thought, not what Vince wants you to think. He doesn't want you to think Roman Reigns is going to retain his belt. Well, he might want to in that sense, but it's and then of course TJ falling for it. It makes him look like an idiot. It makes Kendrick look like an idiot for wanting to, to say to him, let's fix the match. It makes the Cruiserweight division look like idiots because they're the only two that are apparently contesting for the title belt. Let's hope Rich Swann changes something. And also, Kendrick saying, this is the most important thing in my career. And the fact that he's now back to being the Brian Kendrick. That gimmick was shit 7 years ago. Why do you think it's going to change?
The finish of the match was Kendrick locking on the Captain Hook submission hold on Perkins to pick up the win and become the new Cruiserweight champion. But with that win begs the question of whether or not Kendrick will be a transitional champion. I guess we'll find out on Raw tonight. Up next, the Raw Tag Team Championship was on the line as the New Day defended the titles against Sheamus and Cesaro. Ever get the feeling the New Day drags out their promos just way too much? At one point during the hangout last night, you can hear me saying, "Can we start the match, please?" Now, actually being what this match was, and knowing that WWE will more than likely be keeping the titles on New Day to break the record set by Demolition, I still think it was a nicely worked match.
Yes, the fact that you have Kofi saying, "Oh, Boston's my hometown," and then he's just sat on the sidelines and not actually competing in it, and then then this finish further proving that because of the court case that's going on between WWE and Demolition, proving that New Day are basically only going to be tag champions until they beat Demolition's record, and then they are getting those belts off them as quick as possible.
What actually means about this finish
means by TLC, I think it'll be by TLC,
yeah,
roughly, that they'll break the record. So obviously they'll probably keep the hold of them for Survivor Series because of the whole Raw versus SmackDown non-existent who gives a crap that's going on. But if you looked in the pre-show when they did the bit with Tom, you know, with the questions, they were acting like heels.
I thought they were acting like clowns.
Yeah, but they were acting like cocky sort of jock sort of things, which is what Roman Reigns has been doing, who's been, you know, behaving like a heel, like I said before. And with the manner of the finish, you know, with Kofi causing the DQ allegedly, even though Sheamus sort of did it as well, it's sort of like, wait, who am I supposed to care about here? Who am I supposed to be supporting? Or am I supposed to be supporting Anderson and Gallows? Or Enzo and Cass? Or anybody that isn't the two teams that were in the title match?
The only thing I have to say is I don't know if WWE will play off of that tonight on Raw. I would expect them to, but I'm not getting my hopes up for it. We also have to keep in mind that while the disqualification was happening at the exact same time, Xavier Woods was tapping out to the sharpshooter by Cesaro. So, again, that's another thing to keep in mind about what they might do for this. But up next, it was the final Hell in a Cell match, the first ever women's championship match inside Hell in a Cell as Sasha Banks defended the title against Charlotte. First off, I like the usage of the over-the-top entrances by both of them because it places more significance into the match that way. You don't do typical entrances for what was billed as a historical first for WWE. Now, before I get into what I liked and didn't like about this match, I feel I have to say this. I know there are a lot of different opinions out there about this match. One in particular, Osiris of the Vinnie Mac Show. I went on his hangout for a few short minutes last night to attempt to explain why I liked this match over the other two Hell in a Cell matches, and due to my living situation, I felt like I couldn't give an accurate representation of my side of things in the way I viewed it. Going into this match, I wasn't expecting crazy Hell in a Cell spots. I wasn't expecting them to beat each other bloody or anything like that, because WWE doesn't work their Hell in a Cell matches like that anymore. I know that's something traditionalists and purists don't want to hear. My time this recording, my battery's dying. Don't want to hear, but it's a fact. A person named Stig called me out on the hangout saying my opinion is wrong, that you can judge today's product by yesterday's product, but that's just not true at all. My best refutation to that is simply the fact that the product and the industry have evolved over the times, and so do the fans. As much as the traditionalists don't want to hear it, it simply has to be said. Now, whether or not Stig and Osiris agree with my statements remain to be seen, but knowing how the product and the industry has changed over the years, you can honestly sit there and you can't honestly sit there and expect Charlotte and Sasha to work an Attitude Era style of a Hell in a Cell match when WWE doesn't work their product and their show like that anymore. I hope that Vinnie Mac, Osiris, and the entity known as Stig watched this video and understood what I had to say. And gentlemen, if you would like to respond to this, I'm more than open to hearing what you have to say. Now, the Hell in a Cell match was by far the best match of the night. Charlotte and Sasha working the crowd from the very start, beginning, including the fight, in the crowd to the powerbomb through the table accomplished two things. One is to work the crowd up and get them more emotionally invested in this match. And two, it gave Sasha, the face of the match, a challenge to overcome by having her work with the match with an injury to her back. A couple of spots I definitely want to mention. Sasha's Spider-Woman-like leap off the cell into the double knees on the outside was very nicely done, as well as the running knees to Charlotte on the outside, as we're desperately running out of time here. So also can't forget to mention Sasha's chair shot counter to the ribs of Charlotte while locked in the figure eight. The finish of the match was Charlotte hitting natural selection on Sasha to pick up the win and become the new three-time women's champion. Anyone get the feeling they might be trying to do with Charlotte what Flair did in the 80s with the NWA and WCW? Be that as the fact that we're desperately running out of time. Overall score, Hell in a Cell, 3.5 out of 5. Best match of the night. I have to go to the women's Hell in a Cell match, and the worst match to Roman Reigns and Rusev. Ashley, over to you very quickly.
I'd give it a 3. Worst match probably was. There was nothing that was really worse. There were so many that were probably on the same par. To me, the best probably was Owens versus Rollins, just because with that finish with the women's match, you know, considering it was the main event, you'd have thought you'd want it to be, you know, a giant celebration. Like, yes, they're, you know, their main event, here's a celebration, Sasha wins in her hometown. And, you know, apparently the finish was supposed to be, up until that afternoon, Sasha winning. So Vince changed his mind. So, just like Vince changed his mind in putting the women on last, I think this change of mind is a negative one rather than a positive one, which is, you know, I feel sorry for a heck of a show, but because of the finish, it's going to go down as something which could hurt the long-term aspects of women main eventing male and female co-branded pay-per-views.
Well, guys and gals, that's been our review of Hell in a Cell. If you guys liked the video, be sure you slam that like button, like a champ. Don't forget to check me out on social media. Links are in the description box below. Don't forget, I'll have a couple of videos in the annotations at the end of this video for you guys to check out as well. And, of course, if you want to see more of your old pal, the Wrestle Gamer, and the Studly Man Ashley, you know what you got to do. You got to hit that subscribe button down below. So, with that being said, for the Studly Man Ashley, I am your friendly neighborhood Wrestle Gamer, and I will see you at the next Warp Zone. Bye, guys! Whoa, whoa, whoa. What was that?
For a half from now, okay, but I don't think there's going to be any high spots.
Yeah.